Hello, welcome to part 4 of designing shoes. We're going to pick up where we left off with at part 3 and tell you a little bit about what can you do with this pattern you've generated. Or more precisely, perhaps, these are pattern guidelines that you've generated. So, the first thing we need to do is we need to take this pattern, which is actually a graphic image, and we need to save it to disk. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to say Save Image As, and it gives it the default name of sendimage.png. That's a graphic format. And I'm just going to save it under wherever you want. I'm saving it under my company name, customers, Fred Fish, which I'd already created and I've already saved it, so there it is. And I'm just going to cancel this, but normally I would just save it there. So it's saved somewhere where you know where it is. Now I'm going to go to the program Inkscape, which is a free program available for download, and I've already opened a blank copy of Inkscape, or a new document I should say, and I'm going to go and say File, Document Properties, and change this. This is a letter. I'm just going to change it to tabloid. Ledger tabloid and landscape. Okay, so that will fit what I want to do a little bit better. So I'm going to say File, Import, and I'm going to browse to my Fredfish directory and pick up this sendimage.png, and I'm going to embed it in my Inkscape drawing. Okay. Now, Inkscape is not necessarily reliably sizing this image. And you're going to want this to be exactly correct size relative to pages and printouts, etc. So the thing that you should know about this is 17 inches by 11 inches. All right? That's the size of this diagram. So if I go up here and at first I click the lock, so I want the height and width to be locked. I'm going to switch this to inches, and I'm going to set the width to 17. And you'll notice that the document gets bigger, the image gets bigger, and the height is switched to 11 because it was locked to that ratio. I'm going to center that a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm going to press Control-Shift-L. That brings up my Layers dialog. And I'm going to change this to name to Generator Pattern. Then I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to call that Vamp. Alright, so here's my new layer, Vamp. I can zoom in here. And begin to draw my Vamp. So, and also I should point out, you can do this with a pencil and paper. You can print this out and just draw on it with a pencil. But of course I cannot do that on the computer, and I do enjoy using Inkscape for this purpose. So I'm going to click on the pen tool, and I'm going to start here. This is the top of the tongue, down to the bottom here. Working my way along. So part of this is to understand how you're drawing the curves around these guidelines. And hopefully I can explain this to you further. So what we have now is, I'm going to just click on the selector tool here. And if I go up here and turn off the generator pattern, oops, you can see that actually what I just drew is on the same layer as the generator, so I've got a problem here. So what I'm going to do is use the marquee select. Oops. Control Z undoes anything. I'm going to use the marquee select here and make sure I grab that thing that I've just drawn. There it is. And say layer, move selection to layer above. Now it's up in my vamp layer. I'm going to unselect everything. So if I turn the generator off, there we go. Look at that. Okay, so now I want that to be something that you can see here. So I'm going to press Shift Red. So I get a nice red color there so that you can see that a little better. I'm going to turn my generator back on. Okay, now I need to smooth this out. So I'm going to go to my node tool here. We'll start here. Okay. So I want to tell you I am not an expert at Inkscape. I've sort of learned what I need to do, and I've learned a bunch of tricks here that are helpful for what I want to do. I don't pretend to be any expert in this realm, and although through the course of these tutorials I will be giving you some little tips about why I'm doing what I'm doing, or some little things that are helpful to you. So this is just basically your first part of this pattern, where I've drawn the vamp based on my guidelines here. And we do not have a wingtip yet, but this is my first approximation of the vamp. And that will be the end of part 4. Thank you.